All right.
Hey, everybody.
Welcome to Trust Relations, the podcast.
I'm here with April, the founder of Trust Relations and the doyen of all things public relations.
And of course, we're joined by the wonderful Hamish, our marketing lead and expert in the space, who I like to call my marketing other half.
We're tackling some of the biggest topics in news and integrated marketing and learning from the mistakes that make headlines or sink brands.
So join us as we have a chat about what works, what doesn't, and what we have to say about all of it.
Okay, you ready to do this?
Good morning, podcast listeners.
Wow. Okay, that was really ready. That's like well past where I was ready.
I'm ready. I'm channeling the late, great Robin Williams for this one. Let's do it.
Oh my God. Okay.
Yes.
So, Hamish, how have you been besides caffeinated?
I'm not caffeinated. That's the problem. I'm overcompensating. I'll crash massively after this. I'm good. How are you?
So I'm fine. The animals are very happy.
Yeah, you're there. You captured.
And Layla has, she's about 12% cattle dog, Aussie cattle dog. And so her little Australian cattle dog part has started to come out. So now she chases the goats around and around and around and around. And one of them doesn't care. She'll just bark at it, little Maisie Joe, and she just looks around like, for real? Because she's, maybe a fourth or fifth, sixth of the size of the goat. And the other one, for some reason, is terrified of her. So she barks at her and she just goes and hides in her house.
Oh, so she's got one. So that's all she needs for the game to continue. She's like, hey.
I'm just waiting. I'm waiting for Clarice to figure out that there's nothing this tiny dog can actually do to her. But
Clarice is in Silence of the Lambs?
No, Clarice is then the girlfriend of Rudolph from Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, because she's she looks like a little brown reindeer.
Right. Okay. All right. I won't go dark on this one.
But everybody thinks it's Clarice from Silence of the Lambs, which I didn't even know was a thing until I named my goat Clarice, and then everyone's like, Clarice, and I'm like,
with a nice Chianti.
Like, why are they calling her?
Have you never seen Silence of the Lambs? Let's go to the bigger part here.
I don't like scary movies.
It's not scary. It's a psychological thriller. It's not a horror. It's brilliant. It's the seminal breakout movie for Jodie Fisher. It was phenomenal. She was excellent in it. And Sir Anthony Hopkins, amazing. You've got to see it. I'm putting this at the top of your to-do list. No one dies. It's okay. There you go. I've taken away the punchline. Now you can go and watch it.
I'm sure that's not true.
No, it's not. Look, I wouldn't necessarily eat before you watch it, but I say you'll be able to sleep later.
You're really selling this.
If you want to talk about The Shining, here's Johnny.
I know about The Shining. I have seen The Shining.
Yes. Okay. All right. Well, sorry, I could talk about the movies for hours and hours, but we have other interesting things.
We do. Let's get into business. Down to brass tacks here.
Brass tacks. Yes, indeed. Where do you want to dive in? I want
to talk about Hard Mtn Dew.
Oh, Hard Mtn Dew. Yes. Yeah. Let's talk about it. It's who knew it was a thing? Who knew it came in so many flavors?
This is the 1 year anniversary of Hard Mtn Dew. And they now have an orange citrus flavor. It's supported by a definitely over 21 spring break bonanza at a retirement community in Florida.
Yes. Now, look, there's a lot to unpack in this one. And I would just like to add this is the fourth flavor. The others are watermelon, black cherry, and Baja Blast.
I mean, I guess Americans say Baja.
But maybe that's better, yeah.
But in Spanish, it should be Baja.
Okay. Well, never having studied Spanish, I will defer to you.
Anyway. So they're holding an event, and the submissions are graded on their level of imagination and originality. And then the winner is picked after the contest closes. And essentially, they're promising imaginative fans the chance to hang out at a notorious party destination for retirees. So if you win, you get to go to a retirement community to party with old people.
So you're going to Cancun where you're just hanging out with all the old people who are there to watch all the young people. Is that what's happening? Sorry, that's cynic. You're going to watch all your friends down on the beach while you're upstairs with the retirees who are perving on you downstairs. Yeah, makes a lot of sense. I'm with you. Okay.
Why did you just make old people perverts? How did that happen?
I don't know.
Like, that is ageist.
Yeah, it is ageist. I think, to be fair, my mind, when we were discussing pre-show what we're going to talk about, when we're talking about the creepy bra ad, I think it's tainted my mind now.
I see. Well, we are not going to talk about the creepy bra ad, so we also don't need to make this creepy.
Okay, so Hard Mtn Dew. Look, Mountain Dew are infamous, if I bring it back down the line,
Yeah.
for their, is outlandish the right word? Their unique take on competitions and pushing people to the extreme. Last year, to launch the product, the Hard Mtn Dew, they decided to run a contest where people had to do the most crazy proposal to a can of Mountain Dew that they could, and then the winner would go and get married to it in Vegas. So this is right out of the same playbook, if you ask me, having a party with retirees. I think if we look at it from a marketing and PR point of view, is this saleable from a PR point of view? Or is this banging a drum that's losing a little bit of its noise?
Well, here's the thing. I'm trying to decide who their target market is for this, because I can tell you for sure, people my age and a little older grew up drinking Mountain Dew like it was water. I was a Mountain Dew addict. I drank so much Mountain Dew, I gave myself canker sores. Like, I was one of those people that was a Mountain Dew fanatic. And I know
have a friend who's similar to you. Her husband's collected every Mountain Dew piece of paraphernalia that's ever existed.
It's very addictive. So, and it's very highly caffeinated. So it was kind of like Red Bull before Red Bull for people that were looking for, energy jolts. But actually just caffeine, right? Like, very highly caffeinated soda. And so I feel like people my age would actually, because of the nostalgic factor, be the most inclined, to want to drink Hard Mountain Dew. But I'm trying to think.
You're a retiree now.
I don't think. Well, but this is the thing. I don't think my parents were never that into it, and they would be retiree age, right? Like, it was me. So that's where I'm trying to. I feel like there would be a more fun nostalgic play. Like the Instagram account, like, grew up in the 70s and 80s. Like, I feel like that's your audience, not necessarily retirees. So I'm struggling in my brain to make the connection between this brand.
Yeah, I get it. I understand. Is it that they are taking a hard nod at the fact that Mountain Dew has been around for so long, and they're trying to bring on a new generation, and they're trying to say, we know this has been around so long that you probably think that your grandparents drank it, but this is really quite cool for you now. We've revitalized it. We made it more interesting to you, and therefore they're bringing on a new generation. Because, as you said, it was the Red Bull of its era, and there's the other side of it, which is people our age, our youthful age, who did grow up with it. They're trying to bring it back into relevance by having the hardcore edge of making it hard liquor. That's not hard liquor; it's 5% alcohol. Hardly.
It's still flattened me.
But is it those two disparate audiences that they're trying to bring together in some unique mishmash?
It must be.
Yeah, I don't know.
From a PR standpoint, I do like it, because I think it's a very funny thing to do, like spring break at a retirement community. This is my disconnect, though. Whether or not it's on brand and serving the brand's purpose based on their target audience is where I'm not sure. If it is, then I'm very happy with this, because it's a very funny thing. But if they're just using old people to get buzz, that feels a little icky.
Well, that's what Snickers did many years ago with Betty White.
What did they do again?
Where the guy was being tackled, and they said to him, "You're playing like Betty White out there," and then throws them a Snickers, and Betty White eats it, takes the top off, and he runs through through the opposition. But I think the problem I have is very similar to yours. Is who are they targeting, and is this going to move the needle enough, or is this just a splash in the ocean, and this is going to die off? I mean, I'd be interested to see what their sales figures are. Is this just a way to introduce a new flavor? Then it seems like it's a massive campaign for just one flavor. I don't know.
And it could be that because in the Florida connection with the citrus and, all of that, like that makes sense because Florida is the
citrus. It's no such flavoring. It's not even there. It's not theirs. It's orangey. So look. I think if I was to wrap this one, if we are ready to wrap,
yeah, let's do it.
Ready to crush that can. Yeah.
If I had nifty when I do it.
I
actually hurt
don't love
myself
it
when I hit my head like it's red.
No, you can't tell. You're safe. I don't love this campaign. And look, it's on brand in the sense that it's outlandish. Do I think it's actually going to move the needle that much? No. Who, as you said, as a young person, I mean, unless there's details we're not understanding, wants to go and hang out at a retiree village, and why is that going to be fun for them? And or what's the most famous retiree village? They're going to go and hang out at Mar-a-Lago.
The ultimate impugn. Oh my god, that's hilarious. Mar-a-Lago. Good lord.
Well, that's in Florida, isn't it?
Oh yes, it is. Yes.
So who knows? I mean, the mind boggles. But look, I don't love it. I think I've seen much, and we've reviewed much better campaigns. This one misses the mark for me.
I think I have to agree. It's clunky.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's clunky.
It's confusing, clunky, and not so good.
Okay.
Didn't we have some news to review?
News?
Yeah. I thought we were going to talk about Meta and their most recent report talking about what people view and don't view.
Oh, God.
So how about I bring that back? Let's talk about some news. Meta came out with their report talking about the most widely viewed content on their platform, released on what they call their Transparency Center platform, and it's looking back at Q4 of 2022. It is a very long report. I actually, from a reading point of view and presentation point of view, they could have done a lot better job, but maybe there's a reason for why they've laid it out this way. That all said, there's some very interesting information within it, and I will put the caveat on this that it is actually looking only at the Northern American market. It's not actually looking worldwide. So some of these figures might change through the world, but it's interesting because they're looking at the feed and the feed attribution and what people are seeing in their day-to-day. They're not necessarily looking at what people are doing, engaging photos, etc., but they're looking at what's in the feed. And interestingly, which I personally find hard to fathom, is 74.5% of views on posts came from friends or groups that people have joined. I feel that it's more groups that I'm seeing content from these days than it is friends. It's that, or friends are just stopping posting now. I don't know. And then the rest of it really came in from feed recommendations. So it's things that you're not connected to, but that Facebook/Meta thinks you might be interested in. And it might be about an event, might be about a view. And for some reason, I'm getting a lot of movie recommendations lately. Maybe I'm talking about movies too much. But
well, there is something really creepy that happens when you chat with people on Instagram or on Facebook. If you say any of those keywords that you use, trigger a whole series of posts and ads that are served up to you. Nobody is listening. It's super creepy. In fact, it's so creepy that one of my friends, last night we were on Instagram, even though we normally text, and I started saying something to her. She's like, I would not give this information to Meta. She's like, let's go on text. Immediately. And I was like, oh yeah, you're right. Because like the second that you say anything personal, whatever is in that language is now served. And then the other creepy thing is she told me that Meta actually works with law enforcement, unlike Apple. So they will actually hand over your personal chats. If you have anything on Instagram or Facebook and there's like some kind of issue with law enforcement, they will hand over that information to law enforcement.
Interesting. Which is not necessarily a bad thing, I suppose, if law enforcement's doing the right thing. But then it comes back to where's the line of personal information?
And how much, right? How much do you want to just hand over to the government?
No, there's a slippery slope.
There is a slippery slope. At any rate, needless
Yeah.
to say, I no longer share anything personal on Instagram or Facebook.
Yeah, look, it's interesting. And even when you have your mobile phone sitting near you, it's interesting how many times I've talked about winning $1 million, winning $1 million. And I get served ads for lotteries and things like that soon after, whether it's on Facebook, Instagram, search suggestions on Google. They're all listening, and it's scary.
I know.
Scary interconnected world.
It is scary. The other thing I've noticed, which is, and I know I'm taking us a little bit off track here, but I've also noticed that I am now getting served things that a lot of my other friends have already liked. And so it's like now Instagram is the only place where you see the same content as your friends. Like, oh yeah, I saw that meme too. Oh yeah, I saw that video too. Oh yeah, I saw that dance too, or whatever. Like that doesn't happen anywhere else like it used to in the olden days when it was like CBS, NBC, and ABC and nothing else, and it was all programmed and you saw whatever was there. I feel like they're trying to do that with Instagram and Facebook.
It reinforces what people have spoken about for many years, is that social media supports myopic view of the world because you're in a bubble, a thought bubble, where you only associate with people who are similar to you and who have similar beliefs to you, and therefore are going to want to see the same things as you. So in this instance, it's proof of the pudding that, that's exactly what's happening. And I think I've noticed it on a couple of platforms. I know Twitter, for example, I've started seeing things that other people have shared, and people are like, I've seen that. I'm like, interesting. And I'm also seeing a lot of things on my feed now there that I have no interest in, that I'm thinking, who is seeing this that is now making it be forced down my throat? If I loop back into the meta thing,
I took us on a roundabout.
I liked it. It was good.
A walkabout.
What I find interesting is, you remember a year or two ago where there was Facebook, or Mark Zuckerberg was hauled before a Senate committee, and he had to talk about why he shouldn't have to pay for news aggregation, how he was a news platform, and how they were serving up all this information. So what I find interesting is when you look at the most widely viewed domains that people see in their feed, there's two stunning facts here. News domains accounts for only 0.5% of all feed content views. So news is being seen less than 1%. And the top 20 domains that cumulatively account for just 1.1% of all feed content views in the US. So top 20 domains that people are linking out to from Facebook or Instagram only account for 1.1% of all feed content. And interestingly, and then Meta would hate it, people are only seeing, even though only 0.5% of links are linking out to news sites, a study found that 1/3 of Americans are regularly getting news from Facebook. So that might be that they've read something and then they're quoting it, but they're not linking to the original source. So there's this massive discrepancy that exists there between what people are seeing and what is verified, between what is then being misquoted, then therefore why fact checkers get involved, and why therefore there's this question mark around the authenticity of certain things that people are sharing online.
It's a very strategic way to keep people separated and polarized and in their own silos.
Yes, absolutely. But you can't blame Facebook in this instance for people not sharing links and misattributing or misquoting things as well.
No.
I hear what you're saying.
But is it a good tool to keep people doing that? Yes.
Potentially. But then all social media is doing that, unfortunately. And this is why we have to talk about these things, because that there's growing concern with number 2 on the list, TikTok. I know in the States and Australia there's growing concern, and we've talked about this a couple of podcasts ago about the rising concern of TikTok and the influence that the Chinese government therefore has over the American, Australian, worldwide populations by virtue of what influence they can exert based on what they know about the population. All social media platforms are aggregating data on us. They're serving us what they want us to see. I mean, TikTok's algorithm says there's the For You section of TikTok. So I can see what I want to by the people I follow, and then I can see what's interesting based on what I've liked or engaged with. And therefore, they're curating a certain experience for people as well. So I think what's interesting, and this is a very long report, there are other links that people go and link out to, and there's a lot of things that it's being disseminated through these platforms.
Well, I think, do you have any other thoughts on that before we close out?
No, look, I think that this is interesting and it's worthwhile having a look at because there's a lot of interesting posts there that people have shared and then have been reshared. I think it's interesting to see, to your point. Have you seen what I've seen? Did you see the post of the women sitting in a row, blindfolds on, tipping buckets over their head, filling up each other's buckets?
No.
Oh, well, 54.8 million people viewed that one. It was the most viewed post and reshared post on Facebook. So
Apparently not
there's a lot
among
of
my
things-
friends.
You and your friends don't know how to have fun. But look, it is interesting. I think that have a look, read, see how people are digesting this. And if you're a marketer and you're looking for what is actually resonating and what people are reading and what people are engaging with, there's actually some gems in here that will actually help you when you understand the type of posts that are being shared. There might not be brand posts, but if you're looking to reach your market through influencers or to understand what the pulse of the market is, it's an interesting place to come and see what is engaging people and getting them to reshare.
Yep.
So that's my little bow.
It's a very nice bow. What color?
Thank you. Today it's pink.
I was gonna say it was pink. We both saw the same colored bow. Interesting. All right. Well, on that note, thank you, listeners. You can catch the show wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts.
Now, please remember to subscribe, rate, and especially share this show so we can keep the content coming your way and grow this community of communicators.
Bye.
Bye.
It's back.
It was normal last week. I had to do it this week.
Okay.
If I'm saying that correct, Baja, 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 I
What?
don't know. B-A-G-A, B-A-J-A.
Baja.
Baja.
It's Spanish.
Oh, is it? Oh, it
Baja.
Sounds okay. I was going to go for Eastern European.
I guess though, yeah. Our producer has inserted that we've been calling it Baja. It's a famous flavor. So they're doing like nostalgia for millennials.
Yes, hashtag nostalgia.
Yeah.